Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Wednesday, November 6th. Over the last 30 days, we've seen very dry conditions across the southern half of the Great Basin, with no precipitation over western and southern Nevada into the Arizona Strip and southern Utah. And even the precipitation we have seen further north into Idaho, Wyoming, and northern Utah has been below normal for the time of year. We have had no new snowfall in the last 72 hours, and our snow depth is mainly confined to central Idaho, into Wyoming, and into northern Utah. And this snowpack is generally near normal for the time of year. However, obviously with the very dry conditions we've seen over western and southern half of the Great Basin, snowpack is well below normal, if there is any snowpack at all. Current drought conditions, we do have some drought conditions over the southern half of the Great Basin, especially far southern Nevada, where we are seeing those Class 4 and Class 3 drought classifications. However, a little bit further north, just due to cooler temperatures and some higher humidity, we are not seeing as severe drought conditions. And then over Idaho and Wyoming, we are not seeing any drought conditions, just with at least some moisture they've seen recently. Looking at our satellite image, we have a ridge of high pressure that's been anchored along the west coast, keeping the Great Basin warm and dry, and then cold low pressure systems have been targeting more the northern plains into the central U.S. So later today, again, very quiet conditions with that ridge dominating, just some north to northeasterly flow over the eastern half of the Great Basin. But this flow will be fairly light, so we are seeing poor dispersion region-wide. Temperatures will remain near to above normal with low relative humidity. Again, looking at the transport winds, the image on the left showing those light winds, and mixing heights on the right, generally low to moderate mixing heights. So moving to Thursday, very little change with poor dispersion and dry conditions and warm temperatures. Again, light winds on Thursday with low to moderate mixing heights, although mixing heights will start to increase a little bit over southern areas of the Great Basin. On Friday, that ridge dominates the entire Great Basin, so very little change, poor dispersion region-wide. Again, light winds, low to moderate mixing heights. So very little change in pattern here over the next several days. Therefore, looking at the forecast clearing index, we are seeing moderate clearing indices in southern Utah today, and then over the higher terrain of the Utah mountains both Thursday and Friday. However, the clearing index for western and eastern Nevada and the lower elevations is very low. No precipitation is expected over the next 3 days. As we move into this weekend, we will see that ridge pushed a little bit further west and south, as we do have a cold front dropping into the northern Rockies, but still light winds and poor dispersion on Saturday. Then on Sunday, that cold front starts to dive into Idaho. However, right now it's looking like a dry cold front, so we will see an increase in winds, which will increase dispersion and the ventilation index over Idaho, Wyoming, northern Utah, and northeast Nevada on Sunday, but again, not expecting any precipitation. We will see a drop in temperatures, however. Then on Monday, that cold front slides to the south and east. We will see an increase in northerly flow over the eastern and northern half of the Great Basin, especially across Utah into southern and eastern Nevada, and you can see how we will see better dispersion as those winds pick up on Monday. But again, generally cooler temperatures and no precipitation. Then on Tuesday, we see a little bit lighter wind flow, that ridge still dominating off the west coast, so we will see dispersion decrease, with the exception of southern areas of the Great Basin, which may hold on to at least some breezier northeast winds. So no precipitation is expected through the next week. That cold front, again, will bring precipitation mainly to Montana and Wyoming, but looks like it will just clip the Great Basin. We might see an increase in cloud cover over parts of Idaho and Wyoming this weekend with that cold front, but right now it's not looking like any significant wet weather. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, still warm and dry conditions taking us through the middle of November. We may start to see a pattern change the third week of November, possibly bringing storm systems with some precipitation over the northern half of the Great Basin, including western and northern Nevada, but we will see how that plays out as we approach the third week in November. Until then, generally warm and dry. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Friday for the latest updates.